All right, thank you. Glad to be here for a TRN watch party.
Welcome, 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 students, to Team Rubalcava Network.
Jean-Kirk here from Cobra Kai Fandom, hanging out with the one and only TRN.
And last but certainly not least, the one and only...
The chosen one. The chosen one.
What happens when some of the hottest Cobra Kai creators unite? One of the most badass collaborations ever recorded. Stay tuned. Two dojos are at the center of this controversy. Hey guys, welcome to TRN's Cobra Kai's Theories and Reactions. My name is Dave Rubalcava, and man, do I have something truly amazing in store for you today. Some of your favorite Cobra Kai creators are here today on one panel, on what I like to call TRN's Cobra Kai Roundtable, for a Q&A session. If you enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Now, I know things have been difficult this year. It's been filled with uncertainty, depression. It's probably one of the worst years we've ever had on record. The only thing that's kept us going is this powerful show, Cobra Kai. It's that love for Cobra Kai that's pulled us together as a family into the Cobra Kai universe. And I feel privileged to hang out with these creators who inspire me, who motivate me, and also share the same passion for the show together.
When you said that, we motivate you and all that kind of stuff, dude, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate that. It's that kind of stuff which I love to hear. And what's great about this, what you're doing here, is we are all across the globe. Like, we're all in different locations, and it's bringing a sense of unity and togetherness in a time where there's so much divide, there's so much problem, and with everything that's going on right now, I think the world sorely needs a bit of harmony. And yeah, man, I really appreciate those words. So shout out to you from London. Thank you so much.
David, it's a pleasure to be here, and let's jump into some questions.
Question 1. Who is your favorite character and why?
Yeah, it would have to be Mr. Miyagi, man. I mean, since 1984, I know, not strictly a Cobra Kai character, as he only appears in flashbacks, but his spirit lives on, and it's all over the Cobra Kai's DNA. Now, as far as new characters are concerned, I'd go for Tori. Yeah, I mean, she's mysterious, no compromise. I just love Tori.
Right off the bat, for me, my favorite character is going to be Johnny, and I know that that's probably most people's favorite character besides Miguel. I mean, they're all my favorites, to be honest. I really love every character. It's tough to pick one, but I want to pick Johnny because he's misunderstood, has always been misunderstood, and I think Daniel was the real bully anyway, so that's why I'm choosing Johnny. Guess Sensei?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Definitely Johnny. And I think I just also love the dynamic between Johnny and Miguel.
Absolutely.
Because it's just hilarious from the very beginning. And Johnny, I like how he really is almost, just like a flawed hero in a way,
Absolutely, without a doubt.
All right, Watch Party, what do you think?
I've said from the beginning, Hawk is definitely my favorite character. I love that arc, especially in season 1. The way he starts off as the total quiet nerd dork that no one likes. He gets picked on by Johnny, and then he reforms himself. He flips the script and becomes the super badass. And now I know he keeps going from there. He moves in towards the evil side. A lot of people don't like that. What excites me the most about Hawk is I think as the series goes on, he will have the sharpest arc, going from the biggest nerd, he was even more so than Miguel, to going all the way to badass to the evil side. And I'm hoping by the end, he's going to come back, and that's what I'm down for. I'm looking for that through the whole series. I think it's going to be a great storyline for Hawk. So definitely Hawk is my favorite character.
So my favorite character is actually Robbie. Now, hold on. I know everyone's going to lose their shit right now. But let me explain. It's something more on a deeper personal level with Robbie. So there's a couple of common things that we have together, or have in common, I guess you could say. And one of them is that he grew up without a father. And so any character that didn't have a father somehow, like I kind of gravitate towards that because I didn't have one as well. And so some of that anger and misplaced anger that he shows, I understand because I lived that my own life. And so I know his character is going through a lot of changes and a lot of confusion, but I think a lot of it stems from that anger and that feeling, you know, lost in his life, and it's bubbling to the surface in some crazy ways. Now, what I also enjoy about him is I really feel like Robbie's the underdog. He has a lot of baggage, and I'm not making this right or wrong, but he has a lot of things that he has to work past and grow beyond to even give him a chance. And so we see that play out as he meets the LaRussos, and he becomes kind of like this better version of himself, and he likes the better version of himself, but his past and tendencies from the past pull him back, and we see that anger boil to the surface in the final episode of season 2. So I think he's a misunderstood character, and for whatever reason I feel connected to him, so he's my favorite character.
I'd have to say, I think Miguel is my favorite character by far and above. He is the heart of this show. And what's great about him is he's brand new. He's not related to anything we know before. He's a brand new character. There's a lot of parallels between him, Daniel, and Johnny. But what's great about Miguel is it not only follows the Karate Kid formula, but it really hones in on this brand new character that has no association to anything we've seen before, and it takes him on this fantastic journey through season 1 all the way through season 2, and I just cannot wait to see where they go with him in season 3. You know, I mean, I think I speak for everyone when I say, again, it's a testament to the writing, but it's also a testament to how invested we are in this character. When Miguel was booted over the staircase by Robbie, every single person gasped at that moment. Every single person had some kind of measure about them where we were in shock. We were like, oh my god. And then when he lands, you think, oh my god, you know, you can die from that kind of stuff. So it was a sucker punch. And just seeing his evolution throughout the show, from, you know, Miggy to winning the All Valley, was just something that was a real treat. And even though I like Robbie, in the tournament, we all wanted Miguel to win, let's be honest. But yeah, he's my favorite character in the show. I think he's relatable for a lot of people. And he is like a hybrid of Daniel and Johnny. He's the best elements of both. And I feel like he will be the evolution of the sins of our fathers kind of thing. So all the sins that the fathers did, he will be the step in making it right. And as Johnny even says to him in one of my favorite scenes, I wasn't taught the difference between mercy and honor, and I paid the price for it. If I'm extra hard on you, it's only because you have the potential to be better than I ever was. And it's true. I think Miguel has potential to probably be the best, not just in terms of fighting, but just in terms of how he lives his life and how he goes forward. I mean, in season 2, he did have a bit of a run-in with Kreese, and he did kind of side with that philosophy a little bit. But I feel like Miguel will definitely come into his own, and I'm excited to see where he'll go in season 3. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that.
Question number 2, which dojo are you? Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai? And if it is Cobra Kai, is it with Kreese or Sensei Lawrence?
So, without a doubt, Sensei Lawrence, Cobra Kai. Miyagi-Do if Daniel wasn't running it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would be Miyagi-Do, but like with Miyagi,
yes,
not with Daniel. Because I
absolutely
feel like Daniel is trying, but
he means well.
He means well, but he doesn't have balance, and it's
right,
just kind of not working so well.
He learned skills from Miyagi, but never really changed his attitude much. That's what I feel like the problem is.
Right.
So I'm all Sensei Lawrence Cobra Kai, although Kreese's Cobra Kai is pretty badass too. You could even say Terry Silver's Cobra Kai, but that's a whole other thing. But, you know, we're not going to jump into that. But I'm going to say Sensei Lawrence Cobra Kai. What about you?
And I'm going to say Miyagi-Do under Miyagi, not Daniel.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And I mean, that, honestly, if we're going there, I would totally go Miyagi-Do from, like, Karate Kid Part 1.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
In Cobra Kai, Johnny Lawrence Cobra Kai. In Miyagi verse, original Miyagi-Do. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
yes, yep, and I would agree with you.
Well, no surprise here, but Miyagi-Do, yeah. I mean, not as cool as Cobra Kai, of course, but I tend to go for credibility and wisdom over just being cool, you know?
Cobra Kai with Kreese is classic, Miyagi-Do is classic, but I feel like Cobra Kai with Johnny, like Miguel, is an evolution. It's something new using something legendary, and it's just, I love Johnny's approach. I love his approach. He takes everything that he's learned, he puts the badass spin on it, as he would call it, and he takes it in a very different direction. He teaches them to be relentless in the first season, but then as time goes along, when he kicks Kreese out of the dojo, he says that's just writing on a wall. It will also make you an asshole and all that kind of stuff. And from that, Johnny evolves, especially after meeting with his Cobra Kai buddies. So if I had to choose any, it would be Cobra Kai under Johnny. Johnny wants to change for the better, and he's taking all the elements that make Cobra Kai badass and combining them with this new evolution, taking it forward in such a great way. And it's just a pity that Kreese had to come along, you know, do his little mischievous deeds and kind of mess it up along the way. But Cobra Kai with Johnny as sensei, without a doubt. I mean, the opening scene to season 2 episode 2, Back in Black, with him and Miguel suiting up in the morning and then getting in the Mustang, that's as badass as it gets, and that's just that's the icing on the cake for me.
You know, for me personally, I love Cobra Kai, and Cobra Kai is the dojo that I would pick, but I would have to actually pick it with Sensei Lawrence. There's something about his character, there's something about what we've learned about his character over season 1 and 2 that just made me realize that he's trying to change his life. He's trying to find a better way. He's trying to use karate that taught him strength and trying to find a way to use it to change his life and change his students' lives. But he's conflicted. And I think that's where we see his kind of, you know, his judgment with showing maybe a softer side of Cobra Kai. But I still think and believe in the principles that he wants to believe, that there's some type of like balance in there, not just all no mercy, that there has to be some type of restraint. And I think that's his maturity is starting to come through, and that's what I enjoy. And I would personally jump into that dojo if given the chance.
I am definitely with the OG Cobra Kai with Sensei John Kreese. That is the original. That is what Cobra Kai is meant to be. I know most people prefer the Lawrence Cobra Kai, but as I've said before, if you've seen my stuff, the problem with Lawrence is the sort of corrections he tries to make ends up confusing things a lot. You gotta stay pure to the mission. Kreese knows that. His advice, it can get you into trouble if you take it too far, but he knows how to help his students succeed in life, and that is what he is for, and that is something I truly believe. Miyagi-Do, you know, they're kind of wimps, so not them. Cobra Kai with John Kreese.
I gotta confess something here, but I've never been a huge Kreese fan. Yes, I said it, ouch. I actually have a funny story. I mean, there's a person who's subscribed to my channel, and every time I say something slightly negative about Kreese, this person unsubs. Then I'll make another video, redeem myself, boop, resubs. And then I say, yep, bop, gone, boop, resubs. So on and so forth. So, yeah, you gotta be careful with what you're saying, you know?
Question number 3, guys. After waking up, what do you think Miguel's first words will be?
I think for a good portion of him waking up, for a good few minutes, he won't be able to speak. He's going to be stuttering, trying to get the words out. But I think the first word that will come out of his mouth will be sensei. That will be the first word. In terms of the context, it could be either if Johnny is visiting him, it could be either maybe the memory of Johnny telling him, look, I wanted you to be better kind of thing, playing over in his head. And then Miguel's going to think, you know, I did what you told me and look what happened. I ended up in here. So I do think the word sensei is going to be the first thing that comes out of his mouth, because at the end of the day, Miguel sees Johnny as his father. And it was always that scene when Hawk and Miguel go and challenge Johnny, you know, you got pissed off at us for showing mercy to Robbie Keane because he's your son. The look on Miguel's face when, you know, Johnny admits, yeah, he's my son, it looks like a face of, you know, I thought we had like a special, unique bond there. And they still do. It's just, I think it kind of hurt Miguel that a sort of rival of his was the son of the guy he sees as his father. And no matter what happens with Cobra Kai and Kreese, Miguel will stay by Johnny's side 100%. So I do believe the first word that comes out of his mouth will be sensei. As for the rest of it, I am not too sure. But all I know is season 3 is around the corner, so not too long to go now, folks. Not too long to go. But I think the first word will definitely be sensei.
I think Miguel's first words are going to be really straightforward. Something simple. He's just going to say, what happened? He doesn't remember, you know, he's just waking up from that coma. I don't expect anything major like, darn you, Johnny Lawrence or something. Very straightforward, very simple. I think the story will progress from there, but it'll be Miguel just trying to figure out what happened and where he is. That's what he's going to want to know.
I can see. Yeah, I had to, man. That was easy. No, I mean, seriously, I'd love to have Johnny by Miguel's side, you know? And when Miguel first opened his eyes, I'd love to hear him say something like, it was so dark, but as soon as I heard your voice, I held on to it, Sensei. You know, I mean, something emotional like this would just make me go, I'd probably cry some baby tears, you know?
Miguel's first words when he wakes up, I think, is either going to be sensei or mom.
Yeah.
Or Tori.
Oh, that's true too.
Although, I don't know if he'll have memory.
Could you imagine if it's Sam?
I know, right? Which probably should, but if I'm going to go with one, I think I'm going to say sensei.
Yeah, probably.
Because
he's going to be concerned about Johnny and,
right.
and what's going on.
Right, exactly. Because think about it. He called, left a voicemail, never heard back from him. So who knows? So I'm going to say Sensei or Sensei Lawrence. What about you?
Yeah, no, I would agree. Something having to do with Johnny.
Right. Yeah, either that or his mother. So I would say with that.
Oh man, this one's a tough one for me because it really depends on how we think Miguel's going to come out of this injury. And I think he's going to come out with not really knowing what happened. And so my personal feeling is that he's going to come out a little bit confused, a little bit unsure what's happening in his surroundings. And the first thing he's going to say is, I can't feel my legs. And I know it sounds like, what do you mean? I think it would just really push us to another arc in his story of if he comes out of this semi-paralyzed, not the whole season, but just, I mean, coming out that he feels that something's wrong and maybe his legs aren't working. I think it'll add depth to his character having to overcome that challenge versus, okay, I hurt my back, I'm ready, let me go fight again. I just don't think that's the reality. Even if time has passed, I just don't think that's a reality. So I think his struggle and his ability to cope with what happened to him, I think is going to be a huge part of the story in Cobra Kai Season 3. All right, question number 4. What was the most memorable scene in Cobra Kai other than the high school fight?
Now, it's an interesting standard when you say the most memorable episode, not the best. As it is, there's probably a lot of crossover, and that's what I'm going for. I'm definitely going to say 105 Counterbalance, and the reason is, when you look at the discussion, what do people remember? You know, they remember it has that moment of where Daniel was kind of at his lowest point, definitely getting the rent raised and stuff. The people who don't like Daniel, man, that's what they remember. They just remember that moment. The people who do love Daniel, they remember Daniel at Mr. Miyagi's grave, bowing to it, talking to it, how he got back into karate. Everyone then remembers Miguel's fight in the cafeteria, beating up Kyler and his goons. That first true moment between Miguel and Sam when they lock eyes after the fight. That's what's so memorable about it. So definitely that's my answer for that one.
All right, guys, so for me, you might laugh at me, I don't know, whatever, but I'm kind of a sentimental guy, especially when it has to do with that father type figure, because clearly I never had one, so I'm always a sucker for those, just like hit me in the stomach and make me cry like a little girl. So, but there was this scene that I thought was truly emotional, but also kind of showed how brilliant these writers were. And it's the scene that Johnny is kind of confessing to Miguel about how he abandoned Robbie at the hospital, that, you know, he gets there and then he disappears and he never comes back. And I think there's a level of maturity that's happening because of Miguel, because him trying to share and him trying to teach him from his own life mistakes. There's a huge amount of maturity that starts to kind of come out of Johnny, and there's a part of me that always wished that my father did the same, which he didn't. He just didn't. He left, and the last time I saw him is when I was carrying his casket, and that was that. And so I was carrying a casket for a man I didn't even know. And so there's always been that maybe unresolved in my heart, wishing that I had that moment with my son, or with my father as his son, to hear like what happened, his version of the story. So stuff like that always sucks me in, man. It gets me emotional, but it just shows you the power of the writers, that they can come in and show some intense fight scenes, and then they can create this small, soft, brilliant scene of showing Johnny's maturity.
Oh, there's so many. I think every episode in this show, they do a great job of making sure that no episode leaves you unsatisfied. Each episode brings something to the table, and I love it. But I think the episode for me, and it's my favorite episode for a reason, is when Johnny meets up with his Cobra Kai pals. I think it was the most simple kind of episode, because it wasn't really the most action-packed in terms of, you know, these guys going and fighting each other. It was about reminiscing about old times and life, and, you know, I got choked up. When Johnny went into the hospital, he sees Bobby, and then Bobby used to have like loads of hair, and now he's bald. Then he sees Jimmy. Obviously, there was no Dutch, which was kind of a shame, but, you know, they did give his character good reasoning for not being there. But when you see Tommy lying in the bed, you know, tied up with all these medical things, you know, I felt that. It kind of put a sucker punch there. And it started to dawn on me that, you know, time is flying by. Life is passing. It didn't seem so long ago that Tommy, Johnny, Bobby, and Jimmy and Dutch were all competing against Daniel and the All Valley. And it's that same sentiment is paid off at the end of the episode when Tommy finally gets his body bag, like he always said, you know, put him in a body bag, yeah! And he ends up in a body bag, and it's monologued by Kreese saying Cobra Kai never dies as the body bag zips. It's just, it's beautifully done, and it's tragically done. My favorite part was when Tommy and Johnny just sat down. They sat down by the campfire. In that moment, you're able to sort of slow down. You're able to take a moment. And Tommy even says to him, the one thing that I think is a great life lesson: time. You still have time. And it's in that moment that I think Johnny then realizes, I still have time to turn my life around. I still have time to make things right. It's just such a beautiful lesson for life, and it was such a tragic, bittersweet way for Tommy to go out. And what a last ride it was. You know, it's probably the most memorable for me, just in terms of the moments and everything that was going on. So yeah, that was mine. What's your guys' favorite?
I want to say the very first episode of season 1. I love that episode so much. I could watch it like a movie in and of itself, because it's just, you get to see like the rise and fall of Johnny, you know, where he is now. Like, that's what really, I'm not gonna lie, when they threw in that extra shot of him with the crane kick, and then you see him on the ground, and then it cuts to him on the bed, and, you know, the you know, that, like, yeah. It just, you're like, oh man, this is where he is. Like, I got chills the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my god. So
that
still,
one is funny.
Yeah, still to this day. And then, like, when he's still living in the 80s, because like that's totally me. Like, I still feel like I'm living in the 90s and in the early 2000s. I never grew out of it, you know. So I can relate in many ways. So I don't know, that's my favorite. That's my favorite. Most memorable for me.
The most memorable for me, let's see. Probably, oh god, this is hard.
That's why because I really love a lot of the episodes, so it's tough.
Most memorable for me is probably like when Johnny is going on dates from Tinder, because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like all the people that he's like meeting at the bar, and he's like, oh god, and then it ends up being the woman from the first episode.
Of course.
Yes, that one's awesome.
I think also the most memorable is when Johnny and Daniel are finally sitting at the bar together on the test drive, and they realize they have more in common than they thought.
Yes, when they're both nodding along to the song
Yeah.
on the radio.
You like Speedwagon? What real man doesn't?
Yep.
Yeah, for me it has to be the pilot, of course, since seeing these characters again for the first time since 1989. It doesn't really get better than a jaded Johnny having to go to LaRusso cars after his Firebird gets towed. I just love that scene, and I go back to it. I watch it over and over again. This is probably the only episode that I've watched, I would say more than 5 times.
Question number 5. What character do you believe is responsible for the high school fight?
2 characters are responsible, and 2 characters only. One named Puberty, the other one named Hormones. And when these 2 hang out together, watch out, peeps. No, seriously, I think Kreese should be held accountable. By far, Kreese, yeah.
I think hands down again, this is my opinion, but I think it's the obvious answer is Tori catching drunk Sam kissing semi-drunk Miguel at the party at Moon's house. Because then, think about it, because then the next day, Tori breaks into the announcement room and grabs the microphone and calls her out right there, calls Sam out.
Right.
So, I don't know if that was a trick question or if you're just looking for the obvious answer, but when I think the school fight, I think that. But you could even argue and say Robbie what led to the school fight too, or Hawk because of the Medal of Honor being stolen and Robbie lying. Yep.
And not telling Sam that it was actually Miguel that brought it back.
That's right.
Because it just kind of like added to the hostility between the two dojos.
And also Sam running down the stairs with the bunny slippers, and then in the next scene after she kisses Robbie, it's a continuity issue. She runs back up the stairs without.
What does it do with it?
That could have led to the school fight because it was on the same night. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
So for me, there's only one person, man, is Daniel. Every opportunity I get, I'm gonna blame Daniel for something, man. So look, I love Daniel's character, but he is so far beyond what Miyagi taught him and so immature as a sensei. I really think a lot of his decisions either increased the snowball effect, or in some cases where I felt like maybe he could have just said stop, or come on guys, let's be better than this. And so I think that's the problem, is that I expect that from Daniel because he was taught by Miyagi. Let's be better, let's rise above. We don't have to, cater down to Kreese and his tactics. But that never happened. And so if there was one person, one sensei, there's no bad students, only bad senseis. I think he had a lot of opportunity to stop that, but his inner struggle to destroy Cobra Kai led to the ramp up of events that happened. And so I blame you, Daniel. It's your fault. LaRusso Auto, screw you.
Again, this is a testament to the show. Every single person is at fault for the way that school brawl went down. But ultimately, it's one of them ones where I think every single person is at fault. But I think after having rewatched season 2, the 2 characters I think are at fault is Sam and Tori. I think it's those 2 in particular. Sam and Tori, they're both likable characters, and we all love them for sure. But I do feel like it was an overreaction on Tori's part to then want to go and quite literally kill Sam over kissing her boyfriend, whom they still have unresolved issues with. And then it could also be Sam's fault in the element that, she's the one that started playing games in the first place, and then she made Miguel think, in his words, he's paranoid, but then she shows up on a date with Robbie. It's a bit of a coincidence. But then again, it does all stem from that Daniel and Johnny rivalry. It starts with that. But I'm going to put it to one person if I have to put it to one person, because everyone's at fault for the whole high school brawl, but I think the person who really pushed this along was Kreese. I think Kreese really set this in motion, and he did it by being in the background, pulling the strings. Now you could argue and say, well, they were fighting each other in season 1. True. They were fighting each other in season 1, there was drama in season 1, but as soon as Kreese enters the fold in season 2, the dynamic shifts, and then it ends up in a high school brawl. It's a very sticky one. I'm very interested to hear what people are going to say but I think collectively, it's just a sequence of events, one by one, that's all led to that. It's all led to this massive fallout. But I'm also very excited to see what everyone's opinions are on who's at fault, and I'm interested to get a dialogue going with that.
The chosen one, Jacob. I think everyone has a different take on who's responsible, like you said. So leave your comments below and let us know who you think is responsible for the high school fight. And then Watch Party, who do you think was responsible for it?
I have said from the beginning that season 2 dropped, Tori is the one who started that fight. Look, the rivalry had been building up between the dojos the whole season, that is true, but they weren't fighting each other. No one was going at it. Everyone was just in school, you know, duh, school, it sucks, right? It is Tori who grabbed that microphone, announced it over the PA, and started the fight. I've said that from the beginning, and I'll always say that. There was definitely a lot of going on before it, the kiss, everything from before, but Tori is the one who made the decision to start the fight.
Watch Party, man, those are some interesting points. Cobra Kai Fandom, you had a question.
Well, before I go, I do have one question for David. Who did you vote for, Biden or, I meant Kreese or Johnny? I mean, once you completely remove Kreese's influence over the dojo, totally out of the equation, do you believe there's still room for no mercy and strike first and all that stuff in the Cobra Kai motto?
That's a very interesting question because Cobra Kai was built upon Kreese's no mercy principles, and with Johnny searching for more of like a mercy approach, I think it's going to become a conflict of interest for him. And I think that Johnny is trying to teach those same principles of Cobra Kai that Kreese taught, but with one thing different: restraint, especially outside the ring. So Johnny's version may not ultimately look like what we believe Cobra Kai stood for or stands for, but I still believe Johnny can bring a variation of Cobra Kai successfully to his students. Bonzai Kai, you had a question for the audience.
How did you guys discover Cobra Kai, the show?
Yeah.
For us, I'll answer my own question. I was actually homesick with food poisoning. I forget what I ate the day before. It was like uncooked chicken or something, or Chinese food. Yeah, that's what it was. And I got sick, and I was home. She was at work, and I was just on YouTube, and an ad or something popped up for Cobra Kai.
Because it was the day it was released.
The day it was released. It was May 2nd or May 1st of 2018. Yeah. It was a Monday. And I remember very well. And I was like, oh my God. I was texting her like crazy. I'm like, you have to watch this. I binge watched the entire first season, like immediately. It was incredible. And I bought the YouTube Premium at the time. So that's my question.
Food poisoning, oh my God, that sucks. Let us know what you guys, or how you guys found Cobra Kai in the comments below. All right, guys, we could have probably continued on for hours and hours talking about Cobra Kai, but I just wanted to thank all these awesome creators showing up to TRN's Cobra Kai Roundtable and answering some questions. I appreciate you so much. So, all right, man. Well, it's time to get on out of here. Anyone's got any last words?
So awesome to be here. Would love to come back again. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. This is one of the best, most fun watch parties we've had. Peace.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me. That was super cool. And until next time, live long and strike first. Kirk out.
David, Team Rubalcaba Network, everybody else in this collaboration, thank you so much for giving us at the Bonzai Kai Dojo an opportunity to work with all of you. We hope to do more in the future. And be sure to give this video a huge like, subscribe with all notifications on to Team Rubalcaba Network. Let's get this man to 5,000 subscribers, right, Guest Sensei?
Yep.
And of course, for us, until next time, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And until next time, class is dismissed. Quiet!